All right, back on Pro Football Today. Joe Lisi, Kevin Walsh breaking down week number 2 in the NFL. We just talked about our crunch. I like Trevor Lawrence over the 245.5 passing. I might put in, and I'm going to talk to Kev, the LSU wide receiver room. Do we take a shot today? Hang on. We don't have to go 100. Well, maybe. Thomas, Jefferson, Chase, and Neighbors. 90. Well, that Neighbors is probably the weakest link because could Russell get him the ball? He does. So you want to do? I'm trying to see what that would be. No. Going against each other. And then obviously the other two guys.
Playing for the Niners, Juwan Jennings, Trent Williams, even probably still some Christian McCaffrey as well. I think that is all pretty relevant here. But Mac Jones getting the start. What are you expecting from him here on the road against the Saints?
I think the playbook is open today. I think Mac Jones performed at a very high level, not an elite level. Asking them to solely take a game over. You want to distribute the football to Ricky Pearsall, get the football to McCaffrey out in the passing game, utilize the receivers that you have. I don't know if he's going to put up 250, 275, but I think he could go out there and put up 200, 225, and 1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns, and they can win a lower scoring game. I don't think they're going to put up a 30 spot today against New Orleans. Because I just don't think in order for New Orleans to win this game, I think
Joe, but I ultimately think I'm going to get to the Niners here in this spot, laying this field goal, because this is a spot to me, as somebody who was on the Saints last week, had opportunities, not able to get there all in all. And then, the Cardinals were fine. They covered the 6.5 number. But they are not very good. I actually think they played well last week, and they still couldn't, ultimately beat the Saints. They scored the first touchdown of that football. They couldn't beat the Cardinals. I have seen fine offensively, and I think the underrated piece of it is the Niners having one of the best defenses in football. Nick Bosa, off of one game, flips into the top 3 of the DPOY market, and off of one game, Robert Saleh became the assistant coach of the year favorite. Now let's actually talk. Yes, the only people who will bring that up are people who have bets on those numbers, so I'll be mentioning that and the Al Golden number throughout the season. Josh Allen, week 1 was incredible, obviously. Right? Throws for just under 400 yards, totals 4 touchdowns. The 251 passing in the fourth quarter was almost record-setting. But now he goes up against a Jets team that he's had some struggles with. Last 6 meetings with the Jets, he averaged 210 passing yards per game. What do you expect from the MVP favorite here?
Again, I think they'll be consistent. I'm tossing around this total here, 47.5. Do I want to jump in? And you just saw Josh Allen perform lights out in the fourth quarter, and that's the biggest thing. I mean, he got Dalton Kincaid involved. He got other playmakers involved. Keon Coleman with 8 receptions, 113 yards. We stood here last week, and I said, in order for the Bills to progress and show that they're maybe built to challenge for an AFC championship, to maybe win a Super Bowl, I needed to see a collective effort from those players, and they got them involved, which showcases now, okay, it's not just James Cook. It's not just 1 or 2 guys in the passing attack. We have to worry about Keon Coleman. Great to have if you're a Buffalo Bill fan. That being said, when we look at today and you say, okay, I just got sliced and diced by Aaron Rodgers last week. Yes, my quarterback played well. Is that the way we want to play each and every week? I don't believe that's the case, right? So I think we slow it down a little bit. So that might temper Josh Allen's numbers. I think maybe we get Josh more on the ground today than we did last week. And I think the passing might come off a little. I wouldn't be running to the window to bet the passing yards for Josh Allen today.
I actually was going to be targeting his under. I thought the books would shoot him up off of the gaudy game. Looks like they were, wise to it. Again, when you throw for 250 yards in the fourth quarter, that's great. What does that tell me, though?
Right.
You have a whole lot of yards through the first 3.
Right.
And that was the case ultimately for Josh Allen. But again, the books, in most spots, that number's around, 227.5. There's some 234.5, 235.5. Again, you always want to make sure you get the best of the number. I like under, but I thought that number maybe would 249.5. I thought we could see it bounce up. It didn't. To the other MVP that we plan to get to is Lamar Jackson. Now, last year, it's probably right to bring this up. Last year, Baltimore loses in week number 1 in pretty tough fashion to a great football team on the road. At Arrowhead, the Isaiah Likely touchdown where they would have gone for 2, right? So either that game would have been decided on a 2-point conversion, would have been either a 1-point win, 1-point loss, whatever it all ultimately would have landed. The next week, they were at home against the Vegas Raiders, over touchdown favorites, and they lose to your guy Gardner Minshew.
Great.
So that's been brought up now into this spot here against the Browns. I imagine they're hyper aware. I am not desperate to lay double digits in division week 2. I lean Ravens. I think Lamar, maybe a little more Derrick Henry, but I think Baltimore, I don't think they're really on upset alert here. I really do think the Ravens will take care of business in this spot.
They should smash them. Again, is this going to be a game where I'm running to the window? No, but again, if I still buy into the Cleveland defense, right? And that's the thing, is that Cleveland held Burrow to a $113 last week. Yeah. They held down Jamar Chase. They got them into an ugly game. They could do the same with Lamar Jackson and this team. What does Flacco give you is the question. Is he going to throw
interception?
Probably, but is he going to give you a 250 against this team? If that's the case, he has an opportunity to cover this line. I don't like the line because we've seen Baltimore in this spot, to your point. They just...
Curious what Lamar looks like on the ground in this game. In week number 1, 6 for 70. Look, Lamar Jackson's ability as a runner, never in question. The frequency, though, is. Last year in the regular season, he had 4 games of 70 or more yards, right? Like, when you get to the playoffs, it's like, okay, here comes Lamar, 60, 70, 80 plus, somewhat regularity. He only ran it 6 times. I mean, that was a hyper.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Donnie, the season is 6 months, 5 if you check out in September. You're going to have a bad month. The Yankees had a horrible month. That is true. But beyond that, their regular season looks okay. They're going to win their 90 games or maybe a little bit more and get to the postseason. What is everybody freaking out about?
Everybody freaks out. It's the Yankee tax and the Yankee fan tax as well, where every single season you enter into the equation going like, it's championship or bust.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Remember these names: AZ Fudd, Olivia Miles, Lauren Betts. Depending on who wins that lottery, that's going to depend on who goes what. If Washington wins, it's Fudd. She's from the area. If Dallas wins, they're going to bring Fudd to play with, obviously, Paige. If Minnesota wins, I think they go Miles with the point. If Seattle wins, they go with Miles, and the same thing with Chicago.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
I was looking at it through my phone at first. I'm like, why is there such a delay? And why are we getting pitch hitters right away? Oh, the pitcher got thrown out for some reason. Maybe he hurt himself. But no, turning out and seeing a brawl was absolutely hilarious to let that one play out. Just the way it is sometimes in baseball. We don't get a lot of good fights and a lot of good brawls and anger, specifically from two teams that aren't going to the playoffs. So good on them for showing that moxie last time. But it's good to see a little bit of a brawl and a little bit of that passion here.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Walsh with we are now joined by NFL insider Adam Kaplan. And Cap, it's always great to talk to you around a Sunday slate, but we have a monster one in Arrowhead where the Super Bowl champs look to put the multi-time Super Bowl champs into an 0-2 hole. Neither side, though, entering into this game with a clean bill of health. I'm curious what you're hearing around the Chiefs and the Eagles entering into this Super Bowl matchup.
All right, Kevin, let's talk about the home team who are going to make their home debut this season, their home opener for the Chiefs. So, yeah, this is not good. There is some good news, though. Xavier Worthy's shoulder injury did not turn out to be as bad as they'd thought. He did get non-contact work in this week, so hopefully he can be back in the next 2 weeks. But, Kevin, the issue that people saw who graded their tape last week, it still looked a lot like last year's passing game. Short area, an aging Travis Kelce, were the shot plays. They hit one to Tyquan Thornton for a 39-yarder. That was a design shot play. That was a good play. And Hollywood Brown that was on a scramble for 49 yards, and the rest of it was under 10 yards to Hollywood Brown, who, by the way, could flat out fly. So that's the issue. But you, Kevin, know as an Eagle fan, if you're going to beat the Eagles, you got to go after Adoree Jackson, who struggled last week. Anyone who went against him was successful. So that's the way this thing's going to go. Matt Nagy, the offensive coordinator, and Andy Reid, who designs everything and calls the plays. I expect them to go after Adoree Jackson with Thornton, with Hollywood Brown, isolate him. That's what you got to do. But the bottom line is that this game is pretty even. The Eagles are now, depending on which book you're looking at, -1. This is a really good matchup, but let's not forget the Eagles have won at Arrowhead with Nick Sirianni. They won it in a primetime game. This is not a primetime game. This is a 425 game, but this, as you're right, Kevin, as you set it up very well, this is the game of the week.
Cap, matchup in New Orleans. We were talking off air about Mac Jones getting the start for Brock Purdy. Yeah. Obviously, George Kittle out. What's the news just and the pulse surrounding the 49ers? You know, beaten up, but they still got the victory last week. Now they're on the road today.
Joe, it's going to be about their defense and Robert Saleh. I heard you guys talking before I got on here. And the game plan that Saleh and his defense, Robert Saleh calls their defense with the 49ers. They absolutely shut down and smothered the Seahawks offense last week. Sam Darnold just couldn't get anything going. couldn't run it, could throw it. They should have no problem today. Now, you mentioned Mac Jones. Mac Jones had a good rookie season for the Patriots. Then it completely fell off. He and Belichick, Bill Belichick, who picked him, he had personnel control, the former head coach. They didn't see eye to eye. It just didn't work out in the end. He would wind up being with the Jaguars. And the bottom line is it's going to be a conservative offense. We know they're a big balanced team, lots of running in this game. Their defense should take over. That I'd be very surprised if the Saints in this game, I know they're at home, I'd be surprised if they scored over 14 points in this game. I know the Niners, Joe, are their challenge offensively. Brandon Ayuk won't be back probably till midseason. George Kittle's on injured reserve, so he's got to miss his 4 games on there at the very least. But they're going to have enough offensively. And the good news is Juwan Jennings will play today. He got through pregame. He will play today. They need him. They're not very deep at receiver. The passing game, though, will go through Ricky Pearsall. They really have nobody, by the way, to back up a tight end who could catch the football. It's going to be about Pearsall and Jennings for their pass game, of course, CMC.
Cap, I have to ask you about what is going on with the more when as opposed to if. I don't think many would have thought after week 1 we'd be waiting for a week 2 confirmation who the guy was. I know they went with Russell Wilson, but we left that game and, Brian Dable, he's non-committal. Then there were some reports out there, there's no hurry to bench Russell Wilson. What are you hearing around this Giants quarterback situation?
Yeah, Kevin, it's going to come down to, how does Russell Wilson play today at the Cowboys? Last week was not very good. Now, they're not going to have Andrew Thomas, their elite left tackle. Hurt a lot. That's a concern. Wilson held on to the ball too long last week. They could not get the running game going. So the hope is here that he improves on last week. Even if they lose, Kevin, they'd rather not make this move unless Wilson looks so bad. Where we talked about this last year. The Steelers, my report that Arthur Smith wanted to bench Russell Wilson, he was told no. They should have gone to Justin Fields because Wilson had lost it. Russell, they felt, had, I'm told, a good training camp with the Giants this summer, but week 1 was not good. I would say this, Kevin, if they get to 0-3, they're pulling the plug. And I'm not ruling it out after today, but it's got to be so bad, Kevin, that they have no choice. But let's see what happens today. And Kevin, I told you last week, the Giants have one of the hardest schedules I've ever seen. I grade all schedules. Unbelievably difficult schedule. This is a game, by the way. It's very winnable. It's a very vulnerable Cowboy team.
But to emphasize there, Cap.
I cannot hear, guys.
Unfortunately, Cap not able to hear me there. You listen, that's how it goes. Sometimes here we're live on a Sunday morning. Cap, I was just simply saying that it is so alarming that even you are willing to say maybe Russ loses this job in week number 2 because you're very good about not overreacting to situations. It tells us just how bad week 1 was.
But it has to be so bad. This is the way, just talking to clubs about this over the years, where they feel like they have no choice because they got to get the guy out of it. He's lost it. But the thing is, Jackson Dart is their future. They don't want to rush it, Kevin. That is definitely true, but I know how these things work. It's just a matter of time. We all know that.
Yeah, and it's going to be really interesting to see how the Giants navigate the start Dart, Dable hot seat combination of winning and, he's a rookie, so all of that is going to be really tricky. NFL insider Adam Kaplan. Cap, we appreciate it so much. Best of luck throughout this Sunday, figuring everything out going on around this league. Lisa, I just got to say, you're somebody who's very high on Jackson Dart coming out of Ole Miss. I as we got closer to the draft process, started to like him more. I think Giants fans are waiting, but not patiently.
Yeah, explosive plays in the passing game, right? When you have Malik Neighbors and you have young wideouts, you want to get them the football vertically, something they didn't do.
It's going to be a really interesting time, no doubt about it. We're taking a break, coming right back. More Pro Football Today on SportsGrid.
the sharpest football contest show in the land. The Las Vegas Football Contest Show focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
It was nice to see that even though they couldn't follow the same blueprint as last season, or just the way that everyone thought their offense was going to run this year, Josh Jacobs struggled and Jordan Love stepped up. And if you're a Packer fan, that's what you were hoping to see, is that in the moments where you can't rely on the run, can the quarterback that you invested a lot of money into, now draft capital, putting weapons around him, rise to the occasion, and he did.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
When the game is on the line and provide the kill shot to knock out an opponent. It's like they're afraid to put the Buffalo Bills away. The safer call was giving it to Derrick Henry and giving it to Lamar Jackson on the ground, as opposed to putting it in your MVP's hands and allowing him to make plays in the passing attack. I just don't understand it.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
They trade Marina Mabry, then they turn around, and then obviously they fire Teresa Weatherspoon, and it's been a hot mess. You go and, draft Cardozo and Reese, basically two of the same player, meaning bigs that can't step out and shoot. So it's a little bit of a clown show when you talk about the Chicago Sky.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Pro Football Today is here on SportsGrid. I'm Kevin Walsh. I'm with Joe Lisi. We're now joined by the Pro Football Doc, Dr. David Chow. Of course, he and the team over at SixScore.com helping us throughout a football season. And Doc knows I'm always happy to see him, but I don't love that in week 2 I need Doc's help this much. There's just that much going on in this league. And Doc, no better example of how important SixScore is than this San Francisco 49ers team. My goodness, what an ugly start to their season.
No question, but they are getting some good news. We've been saying all along that Brock Purdy's turf toe, it's his back foot. That's why he can't plant and throw and out this week. We said it was a lot closer to the 2-week mark than the 5-week mark that Kyle Shanahan said. And I think Fox just put it up as out 1 to 3 weeks. So they've already dumbed it down a little bit or shortened his time. That's good news. Juwan Jennings is playing, but his catch radius might be limited by the harness. Trent Williams, I think you're going to see that a lot this year, questionable and trying to play through always with his bent knees. So San Francisco obviously doesn't have Kittle either, but they were among the most injured teams last year, and now they're starting off a little bit that way too.
Yeah, certainly the Niners situation less than ideal from an injury perspective. Doc, one situation that for me I think maybe was a little under the radar entering this season is Christian Gonzalez, the standout corner for the New England Patriots. A big game here between two AFC East teams that have started 0-1. When you guys grade this situation out overall, who seems to have the advantage?
No question, New England in terms of health, even with Christian Gonzalez out. It hasn't been under our radar that he's out, but Miami has more problems. You could argue that New England's missing their top corner, but Miami's missing 4 of their top 5 corners now with Storm Duck out, some safety issues, and they still have lingering linebacker issues. And guess what? Miami is missing their right guard and right tackle on IR from last week. So 40% of the O-line switching over, rough start. They've already had a team meeting, players only after week 1, which is a little bit unprecedented. So the health advantage is clearly to New England in this game.
Yeah, I don't know if SixScore, bakes in the impact of a team meeting on a team, but I imagine if you did, it would have a negative downgrade this early in the season. If I may, though, Doc, just the Christian Gonzalez outlook, out the first 2
Well, I think that with a hamstring with a corner is always iffy, right? And the deal is, I don't think it's next week, but hopefully the week after he can return. He wasn't on IR, so hopefully he returns before the fifth week.
Doc, before we let you get out of here, the Sunday night matchup between Atlanta and Minnesota has a number of noteworthy spots between Darnell Mooney and Drake London on the Falcons receiving core. We're still not going to likely see Christian Derrick.
Yeah, the attention should be on Minnesota. They have our biggest delta drop that we've seen in a while. In other words, their team health score from 1 week to the next is dropping 7.9 points, largely off of Blake Cashman and Andrew Van Ginkel, tight linebacker number 1 and 2 that are missing. Yes, no Darisaw, no Harrison Smith yet. The injury advantage goes to Atlanta.
Fair enough. It's going to be interesting to watch how that one. Score.com to get everything you need throughout this football season. And maybe, I don't know, Doc, behind you, maybe a little bit of football as well. You guys doing a little bit of everything over there.
A little football here, a little bagels over there. I mean, we got a lot of things going on in the war room. You should come out sometime. We'd love to have you.
Oh, how about that? An open invite there. Fantastic. Doc, again, the Pro Football Doc, Dr. David Chow, SixScore.com, everything that you need throughout this football season. And again,
it has to be the offensive line of Miami going up against New England today. And to your point, if they lose this game, how does it affect Mike McDaniel and that offense and team overall? They could be checked out. Again, players-only meeting is a terrible, terrible way to start with a coach that's on the hot seat, especially in week number 2. So, again, I want to see if they can run the football today. I mean, it's something to monitor from an in-game perspective. What?
I just can't believe that. Details. Like, I need the full. I want to know who called it. I want to know who said what. I want to know if Mike McDaniel took it as a slight, that they're already like, no, keep him out of the meeting. Like, I want more. I want more. It makes me laugh a little bit. I'll be honest with you. We're going to take a break, though. But when we come back, it's whip around time. Got a lot of games to get to here on a Sunday. We'll do that after this commercial on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
It was nice to see that even though they couldn't follow the same blueprint as last season, or just the way that everyone thought their offense was going to run this year, Josh Jacobs struggled and Jordan Love stepped up. And if you're a Packer fan, that's what you were hoping to see, is that in the moments where you can't rely on the run, can the quarterback that you invested a lot of money into, now draft capital, putting weapons around him, rise to the occasion, and he did.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
When the game is on the line and provide the kill shot to knock out an opponent. It's like they're afraid to put the Buffalo Bills away. The safer call was giving it to Derrick Henry and giving it to Lamar Jackson on the ground, as opposed to putting it in your MVP's hands and allowing him to make plays in the passing attack. I just don't understand it.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
They trade Marina Mabry, then they turn around, and then obviously they fire Teresa Weatherspoon, and it's been a hot mess. You go and, draft Cardozo and Reese, basically 2 of the same player, meaning bigs that can't step out and shoot. So it's a little bit of a clown show when you talk about the Chicago Sky.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
football today. It's SportsGrid. It's a Sunday. It's 30 minutes till kickoff. Joe Lisi, Kevin Walsh here, going through this Sunday slate. And we begin in Baltimore. The Ravens, a 12.5-point favorite, total checking in 46.5. What do you like here, Joe?
I like the under. That's my best play in this matchup. I would take the 12.5 up from 11.5 strictly because I want to know if Baltimore does come out flat from last week's performance. Are they psychologically shot? Does it take them a half to potentially get going? I think also Cleveland could be potentially live from a first.
For me, this is a tricky game where I would lean Baltimore. Derrick Henry's touchdown parlay piece, basically chalk, chalk, chalk. I know, but that's how I kind of see this game playing out. I will say this, though, and I know this doesn't help us today. I'm rooting on a Cleveland cover to get the best of the number next week when they host the Green Bay Packers. I'd love for that to be under 7 because, again, I think Green Bay could be a bit of a regular season, early season at least, juggernaut against the number. The Rams are laying 5. I felt I was better served betting these Puka Nacua props that I had already liked because the closer the game is, that helps me game script-wise regardless. I think teams will be able to throw it against Tennessee throughout this season. I think the number's a little tall. I think the Rams are legitimately on upset alert here, but all of that makes me like my Puka Nacua prop even more over the 82.5 receiving yards.
It's a good look. I mean, he gets 80% of the looks in the passing attack with Matt Stafford and the L.A. Rams offense. I do like Tennessee here. 5.5 is similar to what we saw last week with Cleveland, a home dog going up against an explosive offense in Cincinnati. It was an under, and it was the home dog that covered. I think we have a similar type of performance. I think Cam Ward will come around. I think, 112 or 99 yards what he had last week. I think he could get maybe 180, 190 today. I think they could score, but again,
6.5 in the market. I've talked about the touchdown teaser, if you will. Gibbs anytime touchdown at plus 118, parlayed with the parlay is plus 118 of Gibbs anytime touchdown and the Bears plus 14.5. But I think Chicago is the side here actually in this spot. In division, I think they have a chance to put Detroit in a real tizzy here if they can knock them off.
They can. A sense of urgency for both teams. If you're Ben Johnson, you want to get Caleb Williams and that offense going. You want to prove that last week wasn't an aberration. It just comes back to me when I look at this game. I believe more in Jared Goff playing at home and Dan Campbell and that team coming off a loss. I think they get right. Now you're seeing, 6s as opposed to 6.5s that were earlier in the day. Some money coming in on Chicago. I just don't buy into Caleb understanding the offense enough. I'll take the home team, and I think they can run the football today. I like Detroit.
All right, let's take a look now at the matchup between the Jets and the Bills. This number continues to drop here, Joe. The Jets are down to 5.5 in the market, 47.5. I'll tell you this. I like the Jets on open. There were some 7.5s hanging out there, stayed 7 for a while. The more this number drops, the more concerned I get that people are hoping this game lands inside the number as opposed to thinking the Jets can actually strike the upset here. Justin Fields in that offense, that was great in week number 1. Do we think they're going to be routinely scoring 30? Because that defense had some real concerns against what should be a much lesser offense that they played in the Steelers compared to this Bills team.
Yeah, both of those teams both trended to the over last week. They were the only 2 overs of the week, right? The Bills and the Jet game. So does that continue? Does that offensive consistency carry into this game? I think the only way the New York Jets can win this game is to run the football with Breece Hall and Braylon Allen, control the clock. I like the under. I'm inclined to take the 6.5 or 6 in a divisional game just because, I just think the Jets are better than people think. I understand they put up 32 and people are saying, they're not going to be a good offensive team. I think they're a little bit better than what people think. And again, I still think they could be a 7 or an 8 win football team. I'll take the points, but under.
Yeah, I don't mind the under. This is the only spot this week, I believe, where you have 2 teams playing against one another who are both 1-0 to the over to start. this season. Dallas and the Giants, it's a 4.5-point number. You talk again, another dropping number. There were points in the week. This thing was up to 6.5. Lean Giants, ultimately, though, I'm not letting them grab money from me twice to start this season. I'll be interested in the G-Men next week when they're hosting the Chiefs. I will. I will. I already know that. What do you I think, though, look, this lines up, you would think, Dak, big game. What are you expecting?
Yeah, well, we know Dak, 13 straight wins against the New York Giants. He's 13-2 in his career, and the New York Giants, all they do is lose to Dak Prescott. But I think they're live tonight. Plus the 4.5 coming off the disappointing road loss to Washington. I understand the offense looked terrible. They didn't run the football, but Neighbors did step up. He got his. I think they're going to surprise people today. I like the New York Giants. I'm calling for the upset. How about that? The home dominance of Dallas was worn off last year, right? Even with Dak Prescott in that lineup, they lost home games. This isn't a gimme. I think they strike the upset, and everybody will be calling for Jackson Dart because of the loss. I think Russell Wilson pulls it out today.
I do think that's one of the catch-22s of this game, because I think ultimately they may be better off with Jackson Dart in an attempt to win games. I think Russ is live to do exactly what you're saying. I think it's all on the board here. I think it's going to be a really fun game. Saints-Niners, look, if there's any such thing as good Niners injury news, they got it this morning, knowing Jawan Jennings is going to go as well as Trent Williams. Down to a flat 3 with Mac Jones. I think the Niners are the side. I expect them to get the job done. All in all, do you think Mac Jones can stop what would be – listen, I understand the situation, but the Niners losing to the Saints is a very bad loss in what's supposed to be a competitive NFC West.
If I had to bet the game, I would bet San Francisco. I'm not betting the game in any capacity, but again, I think we can get over the 40.5. How about that? How about that as a total? 40.5. I like the way Spencer Rattler, threw it last week. Again, Chris Olave, Jawan Johnson, he is limited with the playmakers that they have around them, but they ran the football effectively, 4.5 yards per carry. Kellen Moore, had his team prepared. He's getting the most out of less right now. In game number 1, they could be live. I just don't see it. I think both quarterbacks could eat. I think my best play is over 40.5.
Yeah? I don't know how much the Saints are going to score.
Can I pull you in?
No, I don't know.
Even turnovers.
You know what? That is one of the great things about you. Sometimes, this quarterback's so bad, he's going to help my total get where it's going.
I'm starting to like this total as we inch closer to kickoff.
All right, we'll see. Last week, you got me in on a total during the show, which was the under in that Pats Raiders game. So maybe you'll convince me again. Miami 2.5 against the New England Patriots. Total in this one 42.5. I'm expecting bounce backs from Tua and Tyreek, but then again, I was last week as well, so maybe I'm off base. What do you think here, Joe? It's Miami and New England, an AFC East battle.
I can't stand betting both teams, but in this matchup, I would lean to the home team, Miami, because of the heat. They're coming back home. It's a road game for Mike Vrabel. I'm not sold on the passing attack of both teams, even though, Drake May has weapons potentially. I like the over, though. I think there'll be an overcompensation. I like Miami to bounce back minus the 2.5. But, again, knowing that they got shut down by the Colts, knowing that, obviously, Geno attacked that secondary over the top, you have to believe, hey, let's throw it to try and win it, and that can lead to points aplenty. And if Drake May is trailing, that Miami defense was not good against Daniel Jones. 272, he put up multiple touchdowns. We could have points here.
All right, let me get this one in here. Cincinnati and Jacksonville. I can't wait to watch this game. It's going to clearly stick 3.5. Those threes aren't coming back anymore. Big time total, 49.5. Joe Burrow and Cincinnati's offense disappointed in week number 1. What do you expect in week number 2?
I would take the points with the 3.5 in Jacksonville here. Again, they might win. It might be, to your point, a field goal, the Bengals. But again, the over is live. I did take a prop bet. I took Joe Burrow 250 plus and parlayed it with the receiver Brian Thomas, and I took Trevor Lawrence for 2.25 in the parlay.
Trevor Lawrence for 2.25. Yeah, I don't mind that. This is a spot where I think Cincinnati gets it done. We'll see. Again, that number staying at 3.5. Can't wait for the Travis Hunter week number 2 setup as well. We continue to go through the Sunday slate after a break right here on SportsGrid.
The the sharpest football contest show in the land. The Las Vegas Football Contest Show focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
It was nice to see that even though they couldn't follow the same blueprint as last season or just the way that everyone thought their offense was going to run this year, Josh Jacobs struggled and Jordan Love stepped up. And if you're a Packer fan, that's what you were hoping to see, is that in the moments where you can't rely on the run, can the quarterback that you invested a lot of money into, now draft capital, putting weapons around him, rise to the occasion, and he did.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
When the game is on the line and provide the kill shot to knock out an opponent. It's like they're afraid to put the Buffalo Bills away. The safer call was giving it to Derrick Henry and giving it to Lamar Jackson on the ground, as opposed to putting it in your MVP's hands and allowing him to make plays in the passing attack. I just don't understand it.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
They trade Marina Mabry, then they turn around, and then obviously they fire Teresa Weatherspoon, and it's been a hot mess. You go and, draft Cardozo and Reese, basically two of the same player, meaning bigs that can't step out and shoot. So it's a little bit of a clown show when you talk about the Chicago Sky.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Pro Football Today. We are on SportsGrid. We are going through the NFL Sunday slate. We've hit most of these 1 o'clock games, Joe. One still remains. It's Pittsburgh and Seattle. What do you like here with the Steelers closing up as 3.5-point favorites? This was a number that 2.5 on open, sitting flat 3. 3.5 is going to be our closing number here.
Yeah, that's good because I like Seattle with the points. It's one of my better bets. I like the Giants with the points, and I like Seattle. Again, I understand Aaron Rodgers stepped up, but I still have concerns about the defense. Joey Porter is out for this game. They just signed Jabril Peppers. I think that's another added, detriment to the defense. And I understand Sam Darnold and that offense looked lethargic, putting up 13 points against San Francisco. But from a defensive perspective, I think they could get after Aaron Rodgers. I think it's going to be very difficult for Pittsburgh to run effectively. They shut down Christian McCaffrey last week. I think they're live today. Again, I think the overreaction of Pittsburgh beating the Jets and seeing the Jets put up 32 points on that defense, I'd be very concerned if I'm a Pittsburgh backer. I think Darnold could have success. I think it is a lower scoring game, but I'm calling for the upset, Seattle outright.
It's a game that I early in the week liked Pittsburgh, but I backed off, and I think some of it is what you were saying, where Pittsburgh actually didn't cover that number against the Jets, was down big. The Seahawks did have a chance to go and win that football game late against the Niners, and this number would look different if either one of those things ultimately happened. It didn't, but it gives you an idea. The call to the Broncos here, ultimately what I think I'm going to do with a couple of my, teams I like, might do a little money line parlay of, and I know these sometimes can blow up, but of Denver, Cincinnati, and San Francisco. Of the sides, my favorite of the trio would likely be Denver. You can get a minus 120 money line. You can get minus 1.5 in the market to, make sure you always get the best of that number. This comes down to Daniel Jones going up against maybe I don't buy into the Broncos as much as everyone else. I think their defense is really good. Daniel Jones hasn't won consecutive games since 2022. It's 2025. I'll sell this team in what I think is a pretty good Bronco number.
Well, remember last year, the Colts had them dead to rights if Jonathan Taylor carries the football into the end zone, right? So I like Jonathan Taylor to bounce back in a big way. He had success against that front seven running the football in last year's game. I think they can run it again. Whether they pull it out, I'll take the 2.5 points with Indy, but I like the over 43.5. I do feel we blow through this total.
Yeah. I could see Denver having a day offensively. I like Denver in this spot. I love the Panthers, +7. Favorite side on this slate is Carolina. I can't believe this is up to a touchdown. This is double the number that Jacksonville laid last week to the Panthers. I think Jacksonville's better than Arizona. We can disagree about that. I think this is your number one overreaction from week 1 to week 2 spot here. I think the Panthers are live in this game. I think Bryce Young will be better in this game. I've seen Kyler Murray go up and down. Beating the Saints on the road in what was a closer game does not all of a sudden justify laying a full 7 here in this spot. Give me the Panthers.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, Arizona could win and not cover. I would hope you get a better performance out of Bryce Young. He looked like he was a couple of years ago when he got benched, right? I mean, He did not look like the quarterback at the end of the regular season. And Dave Canales, I thought the play calling was absolutely atrocious. I'm expecting a bounce back by Carolina. I still think Arizona wins, but if you want to take the points, I have no problem with that. I think we blow through this total. I mean, that could be a best bet for the show. I just think Kyler can eat. We saw Marvin Harrison eat. We saw Jacksonville have success on Carolina's defense last week. I'm a big buyer of Arizona, big picture. I like points.
What do we think here, Joe? It's the Chiefs and the Eagles. Philadelphia is going to close as a favorite in this game. Total 46.5. I think there's different ways you can get involved. Each team over 19.5 for a team total. I saw that around minus 110. So both teams to score 20. I think there's some value on Saquon Barkley in the market. I've talked about that. Over his 87.5 rushing yards. A legitimate bounce back spot. There's superstars that you can bet on here between Mahomes, Hurts, A.J. Brown, and Travis Kelce. What will you be doing in this Super Bowl rematch?
2 years ago, I came out with a bold prediction, and it was wrong, right? And some on the desk at that time thought I was the human anchor to the Philadelphia Eagles' demise. It wasn't the fact that they lost their offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, and Matt Patricia and the group had no answers, right? And they ended that season 1-5 and got smacked around by Baker Mayfield in Tampa Bay. I need to be vindicated. Alt it. Philadelphia smacks around Kansas City. This is a bad matchup. Best team in the NFL is the Philadelphia Eagles. Better quarterback in this matchup is Jalen Hurts. Better offense and defensive lines are the front seven and the offensive line of Philly. They are going to go into Arrowhead and do exactly what they did 2 years ago, win that game, but they're not going to win it 21-17. It's going to be a carbon copy of that shellacking in New Orleans last year. I think they win by double digits. I'm alternate. Lay the 1.5, 2.5, 3.5. They win it by 6.5 or more.
I'll get to Sunday Night Football because I can't follow that. It's the Vikings and the Falcons. It's a 44.5. We spoke to Doc, and it only kind of confirmed what I was thinking heading into this game, that the Falcons are the side. Short week for the Minnesota Vikings, who are not healthy in this game. Van Ginkel's out. It's a banged-up Harrison Smith. This is a team who's going to be without Christian Darrisaw on the offensive line. I think that these are closer to even teams. I think a field goal here absolutely could matter. That would not stun me, not for 1 second. I think the Falcons can pull off this upset. Again, this is a Vikings team who through 3 quarters was atrocious against the Bears. The Falcons nearly upset. If not for a field goal, they would have been going to overtime against Tampa Bay. Give me Atlanta on Sunday night.
Yeah, it's interesting because this game blew through the total last year. It was 61 points. It was the Kirk Cousins return game. Brian Flores and that defensive front seven got after Atlanta's offensive line. They couldn't run the football effectively. Cousins made some plays, but it wasn't enough. Had some critical turnovers as well. Can J.J. McCarthy duplicate what Sam Darnold did last year? Because in that game, he got the ball to Addison. Obviously, Addison's out. Got the football to Hawkinson. Had a huge day in that matchup. I would lean Minnesota here, but I like the total over 44.5. Keep an eye out for Hawkinson to hit pay dirt.
I'll say on the other side, just keep an eye out for Drake London. He has been peppered with targets since Michael Penix has took over as the quarterback for the Falcons. Number today is 70.5. He's going to go in this football game. He is due. Like, if you look at his receptions prop, it's 5.5. It's to the over. This is a guy who should be averaging more than 10 yards a reception. Very, very tempted here to play some Drake London late night. But that's one of those situations where you evaluate how the day has gone and then you make some decisions
tweak it
on what you want to do. Look, we're hitting a break here. We come back. We re-rack one final time. Best bets, sell me something. And then maybe I'll just let Lisi run wild with his praise of the Philadelphia Eagles for the final minute or so here of this show. In-game live is around the corner. We close out pro football today after the break.
the sharpest football contest show in the land. The Las Vegas Football Contest Show focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
It was nice to see that even though they couldn't follow the same blueprint as last season, or just the way that everyone thought their offense was going to run this year, Josh Jacobs struggled and Jordan Love stepped up. And if you're a Packer fan, that's what you were hoping to see, is that in the moments where you can't rely on the run, can the quarterback that you invested a lot of money into, now draft capital, putting weapons around him, rise to the occasion, and he did.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
When the game is on the line and provide the kill shot to knock out an opponent. It's like they're afraid to put the Buffalo Bills away. The safer call was giving it to Derrick Henry and giving it to Lamar Jackson on the ground, as opposed to putting it in your MVP's hands and allowing him to make plays in the passing attack. I just don't understand it.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
They trade Marina Mabry, then they turn around, and then obviously they fire Teresa Weatherspoon, and it's been a hot mess. You go and, draft Cardozo and Reese, basically two of the same player, meaning bigs that can't step out and shoot. So it's a little bit of a clown show when you talk about the Chicago Sky.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Let's close it out with Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Joe Lisi, Kevin Walsh. It's been a treat being with you here on a Sunday, getting ready for a great slate. Joe, let's get it right here. Let's get them on the board. Best bet Sunday, week 2. That's where I want to begin. What do you got?
I love the over in Carolina and Arizona later today at 4 p.m. I think it's a bounce-back spot for Bryce Young. I think Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison got together last week against New Orleans. Kyler was a little under the weather coming back home against a suspect Carolina defense. I think we blow through this total today. I think we can get into the 50s.
Really?
Again, I think it's a big day for Trey McBride, Connor, you name it. I think they could have points aplenty. Again, I still lean to Arizona to win. That doesn't mean they cover, but 44.5, best total of the day for me.
I'm on a total as well. Just not something you often see here in the best bet section. Under Pittsburgh, Seattle, 40.5. This is a field goal higher than the number the Steelers played last week against the Jets. I understand the game was a rocket ship, but again, sounds like a bit of an overreaction when I think the Seahawks are across the board more of an under team than the Jets. I think the Jets' offense could be more reliable due to a great run game. I think the Seahawks' defense is actually better than the New York Jets, and I think the Steelers' defense is much better than what they put on display in week 1. I like under, Joe, 40.5.
It's a great look, and we talk about how Seattle shut down that rushing attack of San Francisco, 3.3 yards per carry.
Yeah.
And the rushing attack wasn't dominant for the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Jets. So if that's the case, Kev, we know that Seattle wants to run the football with Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. They split the carries last week. It wasn't Sam Darnold going up and throwing it, 50 times a game, but 50 times last week against San Francisco. Going on the road to a tougher environment, it goes to the under, because run the football for Seattle, contain Aaron Rodgers, force him to work down the field, don't give up chunk plays. I love the look. And again, if we could get a sack total potentially on Aaron Rodgers today, I like that. I think Seattle could wrap up 4, 5, 6. I like them today to win.
So let me say, I think that my sell me something juice-wise comes in. I know it comes in lighter than yours, but I think considering what my best bet is, I think it qualifies. I'm gonna try. I don't know if I'll actually even struggle. I am on DK Metcalf and Jackson Smith and Jigba to combine for 200-plus receiving yards in this game at plus 393. This is a combined yards prop you can find over on DK. Now, I know they didn't play against one another, but in week 1, they would have combined for over 200 plus. Metcalf, with 4 catches on 7 targets for 83 yards. I think there's more meat in the bone. Again, this is a revenge spot. No Devin Witherspoon for Seattle. Jackson Smith-Njigba might be the entire offense here for the Seahawks. 13 targets from Sam Darnold, 9 receptions, 124 yards. I think you can keep letting this thing run, but I'm going to start at 200 plus for these guys at just under 4-1.
Yeah, it's a good look. I mean, again, if Pittsburgh can't run the football, they have to throw it, right? Yeah. And DK has that relationship with Aaron Rodgers, and to your point with Sam Darnold, he had that type of relationship. Not so much with Justin Jefferson, but earlier in the year, last year, with Jordan Addison blowing through his totals. So JSN could be a great look. I like it, plus 393. You're getting 4-1 with both number ones in the matchup. Yeah,
that's absolutely the case here. Lisi, sell me something.
Well, I didn't like the way Kyler played in the second half of that game. You know, some bad decisions, but again, he showed me glimpses of potentially this offense opening up and relying not just solely on James Conner and the rushing attack. I think he can attack that secondary for Carolina today. Not 100. Not 200, but 300 plus yards. If you love the over, Kev, it's almost 7-1. Plus 650.
You do love the over in this game. I mean,
come on.
I like Carolina a lot in this game. They're my favorite side today at plus 7. I'm on Xavier Legette over. I think Ted McMillan has himself a really big day as well.
Points.
I'm not saying I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying I'm more loaded up on that Carolina piece of the puzzle here.
Yeah.
So that's
I mean, again, my best
last week like 100-yard touchdown.
My best bet is the over in the game, right?
Okay.
So, but you need Carolina to contribute. It can't be a one-sided affair.
No, I
need Carolina to open things up. Don't rely on Chuba Hubbard so much. Push tempo and get Kyler potentially into a shootout. If they allow 100-plus rushing yards to, like, James Conner, it's going to be a dead under, and that helps nobody.
You have a favorite touchdown score on the day? Anybody you're really loving?
Well, I mean, I jumped into the market with
ready for this?
Well,
listen, I know we're doing pro. They just fired the UCLA head coach.
Sean Foster. He's deserving 0-3. I mean, get out of Dodge.
Not going great.
Brian Thomas.
Okay.
I think Brian Thomas could hit pay dirt. And I'm on Tracy and Neighbors in the Giant game.
I think it's a T. Higgins day. I think it's a James Cook day as well. I think there's going to be some points here across the games.
Can't
just
wait.
not in Pittsburgh. Seattle for Joe Lisi, Kevin Walsh. In-game live is next on SportsGrid.
The sharpest.
Even though they couldn't follow the same blueprint as last season, or just the way that everyone thought their offense was going to run this year, Josh Jacobs struggled and Jordan Love stepped up. And if you're a Packer fan, that's what you were hoping to see, is that in the moments where you can't rely on the run, can the quarterback that you invested a lot of money into, now draft capital, putting weapons around him, rise to the occasion, and he did.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
When the game is on the line and provide the kill shot to knock out an opponent. It's like they're afraid to put the Buffalo Bills away. The safer call was giving it to Derrick Henry and giving it to Lamar Jackson on the ground, as opposed to putting it in your MVP's hands and allowing him to make plays in the passing attack. I just don't understand it.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
They trade Marina Mabry, then they turn around, and then obviously they fire Teresa Weatherspoon, and it's been a hot mess. You go and, draft Cardozo and Reese, basically two of the same player, meaning bigs that can't step out and shoot. So it's a little bit of a clown show when you talk about the Chicago Sky.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.